Fact: 2,000 dead and thousands more injured. Bhopal, India. Fact: 23 dead and 130 seriously injured. Pasadena, Texas. Fact: 8 dead and 128 injured. Sterlington, Louisiana. Fact: chemicals are exploding and causing serious fires that kill workers. Fact: the only way to stop these disasters from happening is total involvement. Every employee, from management to system operator, must work together as one team, no worker being more important than another. This team spirit is encouraged by the Process Safety Management Standard developed by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA. During this program, we'll look at your role on the process safety team. The Process Safety Management Standard was created to prevent and reduce catastrophic releases of chemicals in the workplace. The standard covers any process or manufacturing plant that uses or stores hazardous chemicals in regulated quantities, as listed at the end of the standard. Good process safety management can prevent serious incidents before they happen. But practicing safety at your workplace takes skill. To be a skilled basketball player, you must be able to shoot, pass, dribble, rebound, set picks, box out, and think quickly. Coaching and practice can improve those skills. Your company plan, your coach, break safety process skills into sections. An overview of each section will be provided. You will discover that the PSM standard puts you on the company safety team. But to stay on that team, you must be willing to practice, thus making your team that much better. The OSHA Process Safety Management Standard includes employee participation. Your employer has a written plan of action that explains how the company will involve workers with process management. Employees will be provided with all the available information on the company chemical processes so that you can make informed decisions and observations. In addition, employees must be aware of company policy and be involved with developing safe work procedures. The importance of experience might make you the best person to make a suggestion or recognize a potentially dangerous situation. It is this experience that you need to bring to the table, so to speak, so that the other members of your team can learn from you. Employee participation is a must.
I've seen what can happen. People don't always know what to do, and they don't always know what's going on. Now, it's not easy, but I try to find out what's going on. I like to know what I'm getting involved in. Now, if I see something wrong or something that can be done just a little bit better, I let management know about it, because I've got friends here. You've got to get involved in what's happening.
The Process Information section of the standard will give you the facts in writing on all the materials and each process system that you work with. Being a member of a team means being informed about what other team members do and how their actions affect the entire team. Basic chemical and emergency information on individual process chemicals can be found in the Material Safety Data Sheet, or MSDS. These sheets are available to you on site and include chemistry, permissible exposure limits, or PELs, physical data, and reactivity data. You may also look to the MSDS for general first aid, emergency phone numbers, chemical containment procedures, and a wide variety of life-saving information. Process technology information should provide a clear understanding of how chemicals are processed by the system. The information will include at least a block flow diagram or simplified process flow diagram, process chemistry, maximum intended inventory, and an evaluation of the consequences when there's a variation in normal operating limits. Information will be made available on the equipment that processes chemicals, including the materials of construction, piping and instrument diagrams, or P&IDs, electrical classifications, relief systems, and safety features. A process hazard analysis is a study of the chemical process to determine the potential causes and likely effects of an accident. It's the heart of the standard. Your everyday working team and your employer get together to identify and analyze all the potential hazards in processing or handling chemicals. The analysis will describe what can happen when there's a chemical spill or release, and how fires or explosions are caused. Gathering this information is the first step in preventing or minimizing the effect of an accident. Collecting the information takes a team effort and perhaps even some training. There are many ways to perform a hazard analysis, depending on the age, size, and complexity of the process. One method is called a what-if analysis, where a qualified team predicts what will happen when there is a specific chemical release, breakdown, or variation in the process. Operating procedures and practices cover every task associated with a process, whether it is automated or performed by operating personnel. The Process Safety Management Standard requires that each procedure and practice be written down, because the only way to guarantee that every employee fully understands how to safely operate the system is to document every operating detail in writing. These procedures should always be accurate, understandable, and revised whenever changes are made in operations.
I get scared when someone tells me they don't need to be trained or don't want to bother. The last thing we need is someone working on shift that doesn't know what's going on. You know, changes in procedures are going on all the time, but when someone doesn't want to learn the procedure or they don't want to be informed, well, that's what I call ignorant. And being ignorant, well, that's an accident waiting to happen, and it can get us all killed. Sometimes I have to train someone on a new procedure. Well, I'm the stupid one if I don't make them take the time to learn it.
Thorough training is the best way to prevent accidents. When operators really know the chemical hazards and process systems, they can make sure that a small problem doesn't turn into a big accident. A good training program will include a written set of goals for employees and a means of keeping track of everybody's progress. The whole team, from operations to management, must be thoroughly trained in every aspect of the process, including each operating phase, the system's operating limits, HAZCOM safety, health considerations, and safety control systems. No one should ever be allowed to operate a process or be assigned to a new process without proper training. In addition, every worker should complete a refresher training program at least every 3 years. Most facilities rely on contract workers to perform a variety of specialized jobs. You should be aware of special requirements that regulate subcontractor work. Most importantly, you must make sure that every outside worker is always in compliance with your company's safe operating procedures. Your employer and the contractor are required by the standard to follow special guidelines. Before a contract employer is hired, your employer must evaluate the contractor's safety performance and make sure he or she understands the hazards of the process. Once a contract employer is hired, and before work starts, your employer must inform the contractor of any related emergency control plans and require that all contractor employees be trained and follow your company's safe work practices. Process safety management requires both your employer and the contract employer to be responsible for the performance of outside workers. It's a double insurance policy to protect your safety. OSHA takes it one step further by recommending that your employer develop a permit system or work authorization program to keep track of contractor employees and better control and manage work safety. This section covers new system startup and systems that have been significantly modified or shut down for turnaround. It is an especially dangerous part of chemical processing. If something's going to go wrong, it's most likely going to happen after a change or during a startup. Make sure you and your co-workers follow safe startup procedures. It's a team effort. You need to look out for each other. Before system startup, employees must complete a review of the system and be trained in safety, initial startup, and normal operating procedures. This includes any maintenance or special emergency procedures that apply to the system. So don't let your team make the mistake of trying to learn as they go. It could be a mistake that everyone pays for. The mechanical integrity section of the standard was developed to provide written proof that the hardware and processing equipment in your plant is operated as it was designed. Simply put, any equipment that processes chemicals like pressure vessels, piping systems, valves, or controls must be of sound design, fully documented, inspected, tested, and maintained to ensure that all parts function correctly. Qualified personnel will inspect the system on a regular basis. But don't just leave it up to the experts. You and your co-workers can provide everyday information about the condition of the processing equipment. It's called total involvement, and it's the only way to keep your facility as safe as possible. Hot work, welding, grinding, or cutting near a process requires special planning and permits. These authorizations can reduce danger, but only if everyone uses the system. A permit for hot work should describe safe work practices and the correct fire protection in case something goes wrong. Since the permit will cover all possible dangers in the area, workers who understand the conditions of the permit and follow its provisions will be protected. Just when you think you know what's going on, something gets changed. It's the American way. Every time you turn around, something is always new and improved. Unfortunately, when it comes to a chemical process, changes can put you in serious danger. Temporary changes have been a major cause of recent accidents resulting in a number of deaths. You and your coworkers are especially in danger if changes are made in the process and not documented in writing. When a change doesn't get written down, you can be sure the one person on your team who needs to know won't find out. That's how catastrophes happen. Remember, changes not only need to be in writing, but must be understood by all, or every member of the team is in danger. We all try to learn from our mistakes. When it comes to process safety, everyone's life depends on it. You could be part of a team that investigates an accident or near miss at your plant. An investigating team relies on every member to find out what caused the incident. Effective teamwork is the key to a successful incident investigation. An emergency action plan is your team game plan for survival should the unexpected happen. It's the playbook for reacting to even a small release of dangerous chemicals. The EAP will tell everyone what to do and when to do it. You need to make sure that the whole operating team can recognize the warning signals, even the sound of a special siren, so members can respond promptly to any problem. Because when an incident happens, there's no time to read up on procedures. If you want to stay alive and save the lives of your teammates, you need to react quickly, and that means the EAP must be second nature. Learn your company's emergency action plan before you need it. A compliance audit gives everyone, from management to operators, a system for reviewing procedures to make sure each employee is up to date and to provide everyone with the safest work environment possible. The standard requires an audit or team self-evaluation of operating, safety, and maintenance procedures at least every 3 years. To be really effective, the audit needs everyone's input. As operators, you're the ones most familiar with what's really going on. So get involved by making recommendations that provide everyone a safer place to work. You are part of a team that works in a hazardous material processing environment. And it is up to each of you to make sure that your workplace is as safe as possible. Your lives depend on it, and you depend on each other for your safety. So do your part to work safely every day. The Process Safety Management Standard guarantees that you have the information and the tools to do the job. But it takes commitment and total involvement. Use the PSM standard. Work with management and work with each other to stop chemical processing catastrophes.
Here's the satellite feed. Who gets it?
Here, I'll take that.
There was some breakup in the tape. They fed it.
Shh. Explosion someplace. Did you get that?
Engine 12, ladder 12, pumper 12. Respond.
That's a Glenwood frequency.
Time 1343.
Somebody call Glenwood. I think there's been an explosion out there.
Glenwood explosion. Rescue 1, rescue 4, rescue 12.
Man,
respond.
they're sending a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this is something.
Battalion,
Let's see.
respond. Time
Who do we have out in Glenwood?
Wonder where he's going.
I don't know, but I bet we find out.
Well, we might as well just follow him.
Okay. You want the signs?
Yeah. I'll call in. Unit 6 to base. We were paged. And does anyone know anything about a fire in Glenwood?
Unit 6, call us on the cell phone.
Definitely follow him.
An industrial accident. The media responds, and yes, sometimes reporters actually can get there that fast. Fortunately, all this was just fiction, but it's the kind of scenario that's played out for real every day. In the news business, it's what's called spot news, and especially for TV stations with their emphasis on fast-breaking visual stories, this is bread and butter. Bread and butter for them, a nightmare for you. And it's more common than you might think. Check the media yourself. You'll find there are more reports on the environment, health, and safety. There's more news being presented. Some local TV stations do as many as 8 hours of news every day. And one study showed that the number of business crises in the news has doubled in the past.
Here's the satellite feed. Who gets it?
Here, I'll take that.
There was some breakup in the tape. They fed it.
Shh.
Explosion someplace. Did you get that?
Engine 12, ladder 12, pumper 12. Respond.
That's a Glenwood frequency.
Time 1343.
Somebody call Glenwood. I think there's been an explosion out there.
Glenwood explosion. Rescue 1, rescue 4, rescue 12.
Man,
respond.
they're sending a lot of stuff.
Yeah, this is something.
Battalion,
Let's see.
respond. Time
Who do we have out in Glenwood?
Wonder where he's going.
I don't know, but I bet we find out.
Well, we might as well just follow him.
Okay. You want the signs?
Yeah. I'll call in. Unit 6 to base. We were paged. And does anyone know anything about a fire in Glenwood?
Unit 6, call us on the cell phone.
Definitely follow him.
An industrial accident. The media responds, and yes, sometimes reporters actually can get there that fast. Fortunately, all this was just fiction, but it's the kind of scenario that's played out for real every day. In the news business, it's what's called spot news, And especially for TV stations with their emphasis on fast-breaking visual stories, this is bread and butter. Bread and butter for them, a nightmare for you. And it's more common than you might think. Check the media yourself. You'll find there are more reports on the environment, health, and safety. There's more news being presented. Some local TV stations do as many as 8 hours of news every day. And one study showed that the number of business crises in the news has doubled in the past